Hello, my name is Andre.
Hello, I'm Chandra.
Hello, my name is Gilbert.
Hi, I'm Tariq.
Right. So what's a synonym for disease, bacteria, and viruses? Any answers? It's pork.
Pork.
Right. I've done extensive research on the subject, bringing the most accurate information. Me, myself, once upon a time, I was a pork eater, so I'm a living testament, and I live a healthier lifestyle. Pork has a like biological makeup, or pigs do, like humans. So they say if you cook pig meat, it kind of tastes like humans. So if you're ever curious about what your kids taste like, it tastes like pork. So the only difference is it's 30 times more toxic than beef and venison. Now, there's a lot of adverse effects that can happen from eating pork, illnesses and sicknesses, and some of them can actually result in death. So we're going to talk about why you shouldn't eat pork and the biological makeup of a pig and why it's unhealthy. And then we're going to talk about the healthy alternatives and pork in comparison to other meats, and then we're going to talk about the effects that it has on the human body. Now, my philosophy, I tell my wife, is lips that touch swine shall never touch mine. So we all know that one. So we're going to talk about why pork is unhealthy and the biological makeup of a pig. So as we all know, pigs are scavengers. So they eat dirt, feces, maggots. They eat cancerous growth off of other animals and other pigs. They pretty much eat anything that's not moving, or if it's moving and they can catch it, they'll eat that too. So pigs have a sewer line that their body uses to process filth that its system can't process fast enough, and the sewer line pretty much runs through their feet, and it comes out in the form of pus and mucus at the bottom of their feet. So if this gets clogged, it can actually cause them to die because it can't filter out the pus and the filth. So this pus and stuff can actually go into their meat, making it extra unhealthy. They harvest over a dozen parasites, tapeworms, fluke worms, trichonea, and there's no temperature at which pork can be cooked at to actually kill all of the viruses. Pigs, because of their habits to gorge themselves and eat so much, it causes the acids in their stomach to get diluted. So more parasites and viruses actually get soaked into their meat than as a normal animal would. So of course we know that their fat is like a sponge for toxic, all kinds of toxins inside their body. Because of the fact that they don't sweat, they absorb more toxins, because your body's ability to regulate its the toxins inside the meat is pushed out by perspiration. Their bodies are incubators for parasites and viruses. So that means that new viruses can actually get inside the pig, and it won't kill the pig, it won't even make the pig sick. And then while it's in there, it'll harvest and create new forms of disease, which we cook on the stove and feed to our kids. So it's not really a good idea. So we know that every time we cook a pig, we feed our kids a mouthful of worms and parasites and viruses, and of course it can't be killed by pork. So we're talking about healthier alternatives. Beef has about half of the fat that pork does. And when we eat beef or venison, it takes about 8 to 9 hours to actually digest it into the body. So that means that your liver has time to filter out all the toxins that's in the meat. But with pork, it takes 4 hours. So your body actually, since it processes so fast, your body absorbs more of the toxins that's inside the pork. Chickens and cows, because their need to be scavengers is less than that of a pig, you can kind of regulate their diet, making a corn-fed chicken or a cow who eats hay, so you can produce cleaner meat. Whereas pigs, they'll crap on the floor, and then another pig will eat it, and it's kind of hard to regulate the diet no matter how hard you try, because they're going to eat whatever they can. A 3-ounce T-bone steak has about 8.5 grams of fat. A 3-ounce pork chop, 18 grams of fat. If you have a 3-ounce beef rib, about 11 grams of fat. A baby back rib pork, 23 grams. So, of course, you know that pork is a lot fattier than other meats. So if you want to live a healthy life, you wouldn't eat pork. It has a lot more fat. Now, I know what you're thinking. You probably say, okay, I've been eating pork since I was a little kid. Hasn't done anything to me. But you know the saying, you are what you eat. So We're going to figure out how pig actually affects the body. When you eat pig, of course, since the pork is harvested and is the host of a lot of worms and bacteria, once you eat the pork, you actually become a host for the bacteria. So if you get the trichinella worm, it actually comes in the form of a larva, and it's not actually hatched or grows until it reaches inside the intestinal tract. And once it gets in there, it'll grow, it'll mate, it'll replicate itself, and then once it makes new larvae, it'll go through the intestines into the bloodstream, and it'll actually lodge itself into your muscles, into your lungs, into your brain, and it will stay there. And you won't know you have it. It'll live in there for about 20 years, and when it's time for it to die and pass through your system, then that's when your body will try to reject it, which will result in swelling. So if it gets in your brain, it can result in death, and you'll have muscle pain and flu-like symptoms, but you won't know why. Pigs share the influenza virus. That's a common virus that humans and the pig have, and normally it comes inside the lungs. So sausage normally has pieces of pig lungs in it, so if you eat sausage, then you're more likely to get the influenza virus. Now, in the Bible, of course, it says that you shouldn't eat pork in Leviticus 11. And also in Isaiah 6:5, it says, "People continually provoke me to my face who eat flesh of pig and whose pots hold broth of unclean meat." So whether you look at it from a research aspect or a religious aspect, it says that pork is unclean meat. There's not, you can't really cook meat long enough to kill all the virus. So regardless, if you cook it, you're still going to probably obtain some type of form of worm in your body. And 5% of clinical cases result in death, from these type of worms. Pork has about 200 diseases and 18 different types of parasites, which, when you cook, can pass on to yourself or your kids. So now that we know how pork affects us, we'll talk about, just pretty much summarize what we went over. Pork is a walking incubator for illnesses and diseases. There are healthier alternatives to pork, and that it has many adverse effects on your health. So if you want to live a fit life, if you don't do it for religious or because of research or because of the obvious reasons, then you should do it for your kids, not to feed them such a poisonous type of meat, which can affect them in the long run, resulting in health issues or even death. So, thank you.
Do we get to ask questions?
As you see here, I have an illustration of a whole pork that's cooked, and pork's supposed to be cooked at a certain temperature. So even though he cooked this on a pole, apparently he roasted it. So you can't roast the pork or all the meat thorough enough to kill all the meat, especially something this thick. So, even when salted or if you smoke it, it still doesn't actually kill the pork. And most of the worms and parasites inside the pork, even when the meat inspectors checked it, they still can't find the trichinella or the other worms that's infecting the pork. So, yeah, this is why we shouldn't eat pork. Thank you. Thanks, Sean.